The sun's rays pierced through the water, creating a whimsical play of light on the surface of Howe Sound. Mark Anderson, diving into the cool waters off the coast of British Columbia, had no idea that this ordinary September day would change his life forever. With over 10 years of diving experience, hundreds of dives, and thousands of underwater photos, nothing could have prepared him for the encounter that awaited. The visibility that day was exceptional, around 30 meters. The water, though cool at just 12 degrees Celsius, was remarkably clear. Mark swam leisurely among the kelp forests, pointing his camera at bright sea stars scattered across the rocky bottom. His attention was drawn to a small group of sea cucumbers, and he decided to take some close-up shots. It was at that moment he felt it, an almost imperceptible change in the water's movement. Something large was nearby. Mark turned slowly, expecting to see a curious seal or perhaps a small orca, common visitors to these waters. But what he saw left him frozen in amazement. A young humpback whale, no more than 4 meters long, was swimming just a few meters away. Its movements were strange, unlike the usual behavior of these majestic creatures. The calf moved in jerky motions, constantly glancing at the diver as if checking to see if he was watching. Its small eyes, unusually expressive for such a massive creature, seemed to radiate both concern and a plea for help. Mark held his breath and turned on his camera. Such a close interaction with a wild whale calf was incredible. But the animal seemed entirely uninterested in being filmed. It swam closer, almost brushing against Mark with its massive fin, then darted away, describing a wide arc before returning. This pattern repeated several times, and it became increasingly clear. The whale was trying to communicate something to the diver. After the 5th or 6th maneuver, the calf abruptly changed direction and swam purposefully away. After covering about 20 meters, it stopped and turned, as if to check whether the diver was following. Mark hesitated. Following a wild animal into open waters could be dangerous, but something about the calf's behavior, its urgency, almost desperation, compelled him to act. Checking his gauge and compass, Mark began to follow his unusual guide. They swam northeast, moving farther from the shore. The depth increased, and the sunlight grew dimmer. Every 30 to 40 meters, the calf would stop, giving Mark time to catch up and ensure he was still following. After covering more than 500 meters, they reached a small underwater valley. Here, at a shallow depth, Mark saw something that made his blood run cold. A massive adult humpback whale, at least 14 meters long, hung almost motionless in the water. Its body was covered with something that, from a distance, looked like a strange grey mass. As Mark approached, he realized it was barnacles. But not the usual small colonies of these crustaceans, often seen on whales. This was a thick, solid layer, in some places several centimeters thick. They covered almost the entire body, leaving only small areas around the eyes and blowhole free. The calf swam to the large whale, presumably its mother, and began gently nudging her, as if trying to make her move. But the whale only weakly flicked its tail fin. Even through the water, Mark could see how laboured and uneven her breathing was. Wasting no time, the diver approached cautiously. His hands trembled as he retrieved a titanium knife from his belt. He knew barnacles could be a sign of serious health problems in whales. Normally, the strong immune systems of these animals prevent parasites from multiplying to such an extent. Something had severely compromised the health of this majestic creature. Carefully approaching the whale's body, Mark began removing the largest clusters of barnacles. The work was painstaking and difficult. He had to be gentle enough not to injure the whale's skin, but still apply significant effort to dislodge the firmly attached parasites. The calf stayed close by, constantly circling and occasionally emitting low sounds that echoed through the water. The mother whale barely moved, occasionally blinking her enormous eye when Mark came into her field of vision. After half an hour of painstaking work, the diver had managed to clear an area about the size of a dining table. But it was just a drop in the ocean. The barnacles covered almost the entire massive body of the whale. It became clear that he couldn't handle this alone. Moreover, his air gauge showed that his tank was running low. Mark quickly surfaced, trying to memorize his exact location. Once back on the boat, he immediately grabbed his radio and contacted the Marine Mammal Rescue Service. His voice shook with urgency as he described the situation to the dispatcher. "This is Mark Anderson, certified diver. I'm about a mile northeast of the entrance to Howe Sound. I've found an adult humpback whale in critical condition. Its body is almost entirely covered in barnacles, and it is nearly immobile. There's a calf nearby." Fortunately, an experienced specialist was on the other end of the line. They asked a few clarifying questions about the whale's condition, approximate size, and depth before informing Mark that a rescue team would be on site within an hour. That hour felt like an eternity. Mark periodically dove with a mask to ensure the whales were still there. The calf seemed to understand that help was on the way. It stopped darting around and simply stayed close to its mother, occasionally touching her gently with its fin. A specialized marine mammal rescue vessel appeared on the horizon exactly 53 minutes later, carrying 3 rescue operations specialists and a cetacean behavior expert. After assessing the situation, the team immediately began working. 2 divers descended with special equipment to remove barnacles. Their tools were far more effective than Mark's knife. They used hydraulic scrapers designed to remove parasites without harming the whale's skin. The work progressed slowly but steadily. Every hour, the divers rotated to conserve air. Mark, having received permission from the operation leader, joined the team to assist where he could. The calf remained nearby the entire time, watching the rescue efforts intently. When most of the barnacles had been removed, the veterinarians conducted a more thorough examination. What they discovered deeply concerned them. They noticed a small swelling on the whale's side, unusual for this species. An ultrasound scan, performed underwater using portable equipment, revealed the presence of a foreign object in the whale's stomach. After a brief consultation, the team decided to transport the whale to the nearest marine mammal rehabilitation center for immediate surgery. It was a complex and risky operation. The animal was in a weakened state, and any stress could be fatal. But there was no alternative. Without urgent surgical intervention, the whale's chances of survival were slim. Using a special inflatable pontoon and a tugboat, the whale was carefully transported to shore. The calf followed the vessel the entire way, never straying more than a meter. At the rehabilitation center, the veterinary team immediately began the operation. What they removed from the whale's stomach shocked everyone. A large piece of industrial fishing net saturated with toxic chemicals. A laboratory analysis revealed that the net had been treated with an especially harmful anti-fouling compound, including tributyltin, one of the most toxic pollutants in the marine environment. "This is a chemical time bomb," explained Dr. Chen, the lead veterinarian, showing Mark the lab results. When the whale ingested this piece of net, the chemicals began dissolving in its stomach acid. The toxins entered its bloodstream and accumulated in its fatty tissues, slowly poisoning its entire system. The monitors displayed the damage the toxins had caused to the whale's internal organs. The liver had swollen to nearly twice its normal size, its tissues inflamed. The kidneys were struggling to filter the toxins. The immune system had nearly shut down, allowing the massive barnacle infestation. Another 3 or 4 days at most, and the damage would have been irreversible. Dr. Chen shook his head, studying the blood analysis. The concentration of toxins had already reached a critical level. That's why she couldn't move properly. Her muscular system was partially paralyzed by the poison. If it hadn't been for the calf's remarkable intelligence and your timely help, we would have lost them both. Mark examined the piece of net under a microscope. Under the laboratory light, crystals of toxic substances were clearly visible, embedded in the synthetic fibers. These antifouling coatings were banned in the early 2000s because of their extreme toxicity, explained one of the lab technicians. But some unscrupulous manufacturers still use them, especially in countries with less strict environmental regulations. Over the next 3 weeks, the whale and her calf remained in a special rehabilitation pool. Mark visited almost daily, helping care for the animals and documenting their recovery on camera. Gradually, the adult whale's condition improved. Her wounds healed, blood tests showed a reduction in toxin levels, and her appetite returned. The calf stayed close to his mother the entire time. The center's staff marveled at his loyalty and intelligence. If it weren't for his persistence in seeking help, we would never have known his mother was in trouble, they said. In mid-October, when all the indicators had normalized, the decision was made to release the whales back into the ocean. The day was remarkably clear and warm. Dozens of people gathered on the shore to witness the touching event. Mark was on one of the escort boats, continuing to film. When the gates of the rehabilitation pool opened, the whales didn't immediately head for the exit. They swam near the entrance for several minutes, as if getting used to the idea of freedom. Then, as if making a decision, the mother and calf dove simultaneously and swam toward the open ocean. Suddenly, after swimming some distance, they stopped. Turning around, both whales took turns breaching, leaping almost entirely out of the water and crashing back down with a loud splash. To all present, it looked like a farewell salute and a gesture of gratitude for their rescue. After this, the whales slowly swam north, embarking on a long journey to their wintering grounds off the coast of Hawaii. In the following months, the story of the whale's rescue appeared in many scientific publications and environmental journals. Special attention was given to the calf's unusual behavior in seeking human help. Cetacean behavior experts noted that such cases are extremely rare and demonstrate the high intelligence of these animals. Mark continued to follow the fate of the whales he had saved. Thanks to special tracking tags attached before their release, scientists were able to monitor their movements. The signals showed that the pair had successfully reached the warm Hawaiian waters, joining a large group of humpback whales. The following summer, something extraordinary happened. Mark, who now regularly dove in the same area, hoping to encounter his old friends, spotted familiar spouts on the water's surface. Approaching by boat, he recognized them. The mother and calf returned to their summer feeding grounds. The whales looked healthy and strong. The mother's body showed almost no traces of her ordeal, except for a small scar on her side, a reminder of the surgery. They stayed near Mark's boat for nearly an hour, allowing him to take pictures and occasionally surfacing, as if posing for the camera. The calf, noticeably grown over the past year, even dared to come very close to the boat, gently touching it with his fin. This story became not only an example of a successful marine animal rescue, but also a reminder of how interconnected the lives of humans and ocean inhabitants are. Thanks to the compassion of one man and the professionalism of a rescue team, 2 magnificent creatures were given a second chance at life. For Mark, this incident marked a turning point in his career. He left his previous job and fully dedicated himself to the protection of marine mammals, joining the same rescue centre that helped save the whales. Now, he regularly participates in rescue operations, helping other marine creatures in distress. The photos and videos he captured during the whale rescue became part of an educational program on marine conservation. They help raise awareness about ocean pollution and show the devastating impact human waste can have on marine life. Every year, when humpback whales return to the waters of British Columbia, Mark ventures out to sea with a special sense of anticipation. While he knows that chances of encountering his whales again are slim, he never loses hope. After all, this extraordinary story taught him that miracles do happen, especially when such magnificent creatures as humpback whales are involved.